Good evening, race fans, and welcome tonight to the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series Championship race at the Nashville Superspeedway. I'm Zach Evans alongside William White, Dave Huckleberry, producing tonight's broadcast for the final round of this 2024A season in the Elite Truck Series. William, four drivers fighting for the title tonight. What are we going to see?
Well, we're probably going to see some of the most aggressive driving that we've seen all season. There's four drivers: Jeff Green, Gerald Campbell, Rasimas and Andrew Rucker, all of which are going to be vying for the crown come the end of this race. And I think if it comes down to it, we'll be seeing bumpers and doors used, you know, at their own discretion, really. And, what would you do to win a championship? I think we're going to see that question answered quite a few times. You see the championship standings on your screen there. That top four that we mentioned, they've all been set to 2,000 points. There's no stage points on offer. It is a straight fight to the finish. Whoever finishes first out of those four drivers, Zach, will be our champion.
Pretty straightforward. As you said, those four drivers: Jeff Green, Jesse Rasimas, Gerald Campbell, Andrew Rucker, fighting for the championship tonight.
Yeah, just seeing the rookie standings as well there on your screen. Got an interesting scrap for P1 in the rookie standings. Chase Cabry obviously had a very impressive first campaign in the truck series, but he's got a couple of Lake Norman guys, Dylan Avitt and Caleb Pukuma, hot on his tail. So we'll see how that develops, as well as the main championship fight. But Zach, we got our starting grid ready to go.
Here is a look at the starting lineup. Jay Connor on the pole in that number 9 truck, a Leighton Norgard joining him on the front row. Joe Francis starting third, Andrew Hardcastle fourth, Ty McIntosh fifth, Andrew Rucker sixth, Jesse Racima seventh, Cody McCorkle eighth, Harrison Whitehead ninth, Dylan Javier 10th, Frank Fody 11th, and Richie Hearn starting 12th.
Just behind them, the 46 to Carl Hanshaw will have the one of Jaden Rasimus on his outside, rounding out the top 15. All the way from Canada, Raymond Hanneman in the 85 for Street Limit. In 16th, Michael Goodman in the 44. Behind him will be Mitch Avir and Gerald Campbell there in 17th and 18th. Robert Hill Jr. and Josh Freed round out the top 20. Michael Harsack in 21st position in the 24 alongside Jeff Green. One at North Foxborough to lock his way in to the championship while he starts 22nd. Last of the final four, Connor Thompson and Chase Cabry will be 23rd and 24th. Josh Personette in 25th. And we're about to go racing for a championship. Pace car has pulled off. They're entering the Geico restart zone now, waiting for the green flag to be waved by Barney the Flagman. We'll go here in Music City. Jay Connor and Leighton Norgard lead the field to the green. It's a fairly even start for both our leaders, Zach.
Indeed, we are underway. Jay Connor just ahead of a Leighton Norgard to lead out of turn number 2. And we've got trouble further back. And I think one of our championship contenders is in it. I believe I saw Jeff Green around.
Jeff Green is around. Trouble early doors for the one driver that managed to win his way in to the final four. The other three pointing their way in. We'll see what happened coming out of turn 2 to the 38 Chevrolet. Jeff Green seeing a bit of a kerfuffle just in front of him as everyone tries to find their groove here on this concrete track. And just in front of him, Gerald Campbell there. Third of the final four on the starting grid is involved in contact with Michael Goodman, and his teammate Jeff Green goes around in avoidance, but no damage to the 38. But yeah, Gerald Campbell and Jeff Green, two championship 4 contenders, already finding trouble on lap 1.
We'll take a look closer here at Gerald Campbell navigating turns 1 and 2, gets into the back of Michael Goodman in that 44 truck and sends him around, and that's what ultimately brings out the caution. Does Goody keep it out of the wall? I think he did.
It. Might have scraped it. He's fine. No significant damage, I don't think, for any of those vehicles. They've already caught up to the back of the pack, but the Do Good Motorsports stable not doing exceptionally good in the early phases of proceedings here at Nashville. Obviously, Jeff Green's trying to fight for a championship, and that operation's been somewhat derailed as he's now down to last place there. Robert Hill Jr., though, in the pits in the 95 there, in P23 at the minute. still behind the safety car here at Nashville, and Jay Connor still leading, obviously, after a quick yellow flag brought out after turn 2. Running on board it on a replay with the 16 of Connor Thompson. I think this is another perspective of the incident. You see in the cockpit the 16, the 44 does go around. 38 goes around in front of him. That is some brilliant heads-up driving there from the 16 of Connor Thompson to see that incident unfold. Acted very proactively there in the number 16 truck to avoid both of those spinning vehicles in front of him and remain scratch-free for the time being, as now starting lap 4, the field are beginning to double up. The lights are now off on the iRacing.com safety car, Zach, so we're pulling in this time, going to go green at lap 5.
Indeed, an early caution here, but still lots of racing left to go here at the Nashville Superspeedway. And one thing to keep in mind as well as we work our way through this evening, especially for those of you maybe not as familiar with the iRacing simulation, this is what we call week 13, for all intents and purposes an off week for the official racing series, but that's also when major updates are deployed for iRacing. And part of that major update this week was a pretty significant change to the handling and driving characteristics of these NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series vehicles. So everybody's got to be learning a little bit over the course of these 113 laps.
Yeah, I think part of the 2024 Season 3 update deployment is that these trucks tend to drive off the right rear a lot more. They tend to be a lot more loose over a run, so we'll see if that rings true here at Nashville. But again, entering the Geico restart zone, Jay Connor and Leighton Norgard, as Jay Connor has control of the restart for the first time, catches a Leighton Norgard completely sleeping there. A bad start for Leighton and the outside row behind him. That's going to allow Joe Francis to immediately slip into second place before they even get to turn 1 there. So Leighton Norgard already down a spot off the restart, now facing pressure from Ty McIntosh. Norgard managed to slip into 3rd place, but Joe Francis now inherits P2. Jay Connor off to a decent start. Ty McIntosh up to 4th, as we've got a fight for the championship lead essentially. Just behind them, 5th and 6th side by side, is Jesse Rasimas in the 70 on the inside of Andrew Rucker in the 64.
Andrew Rucker in the 64, Jesse Rasimas in the 70. They've got those yellow windshield banners signifying they're in the championship 4. Andrew Rucker getting the run off the high side out of turn 2. He will move into the championship lead.
That's crucial momentum for the number 64 early on there. You see that yellow number block on the overlay there. That does signify, as well as on the scoring column, that he is part of that final 4. So he, as it stands, if the race was to end now, Andrew Rucker would be the State 2 Sports Truck Series champion. But there is still 107 laps of running to go, 106 when they get to the stripe. So a lot of running still yet to go on here in Nashville. So no one will be counting their eggs before they hatch too soon. I think it's time McIntosh grabs a handful of the wall there. He's going to lose a spot to Andrew Rucker, may well lose a spot as well to Jesse Rasimas, as Rasimas pressures McIntosh on the inside. The 75 trying to respond on the outside and doing so fairly well. That'll be good for Andrew Rucker, as he's still running single file, looking to put a truck in between himself and fellow championship rival Jesse Rasimas. But Rasimas doing a good job of fighting back, so we'll see how aggressive these guys elect to be early doors as Rasimas does get past Ty McIntosh.
Definitely, I think another thing that these guys are going to have to learn with this updated truck is what are we looking at in terms of tire wear. Nashville can be pretty challenging in that regard anyway. Got the concrete surface, hard braking, lots of force on those right side tires as you work your way through these corners. It'll be interesting to see how that is managed by these championship contenders, especially if we get some long green flag runs.
Definitely, I think sort of high tire wear is a general characteristic for these concrete tracks. Obviously Nashville Super Speedway tonight, but also tracks like Dover and Bristol also have very abrasive concrete surfaces and are notorious for higher rates of tire fall off. So We'll see if with this truck update whether that's been amplified somewhat or whether that's changed and these guys are going to really have to adapt. But up towards the front here, we've got our camera focused on Leighton Norgard, Andrew Rucker in fourth, as well as Joe Francis just ahead of them in second. We saw them spread out a little bit on the race start, particularly when Leighton got a bit of a bad restart and Jay Connor got out to a bit of a lead. But now, as Andrew Rucker nicks the wall ever so slightly, that top four has really sort of converged on each other. They're all within 0.4 of a second, as you see there on the right side of your monitor. Jesse Rasimas also in the final four, really joining the party. So we are seeing a big battle brewing all the way throughout the top five. You can almost put them all under a blanket at this point.
Indeed, those top five trucks all nose to tail. Jay Connor, Joe Francis, Leighton Norgard, and then the championship duo of Andrew Rucker and Jesse Rasimas. Rasimas with a run out of turn two. He looks to the inside of Andrew Rucker down the backstretch and into turn three. Can he move into the fourth position? Indeed, he will. Give the championship lead to Jesse Rasimas. Andrew Rucker may have gotten a piece of the wall out of turn four, but it hasn't slowed him down. He almost looks to the inside of Rasimas going into turn one, decides better of it. So right now, Jesse Rasimas leading the championship battle.
I think Andrew Rucker did grab a piece of the wall, but just looking at the move that Rasimas made into turn three after getting that run off of two, it looked to me like Andrew Rucker just wanted to back out of it almost as to ride on board with the 64 now. I think now that we've got, a dozen or so green flag laps, and I think these guys are potentially anticipating a long green flag run where tyre longevity and conservation will be the name of the game. So potentially Andrew Rucker could be looking for the ability to have better tyres later on, allowing him to get past Jesse Rasimas and company in front of him and have that advantage later on in these stints, potentially crucial for any green flag pit cycles that may occur in this race, as you're seeing a gap start to form between himself and Jesse Rasimas. But we know how fast Andrew Rucker has been so far. Obviously, he was fast enough to get in front of Rasimas, so I do wonder if at this point in time Andrew Rucker is being a little more conservative.
A little further back, we look at Gerald Campbell, who is in a hornet's nest right here. This is about, I guess, just outside the top 10. I believe Gerald Campbell is in the 12th position. Indeed, he is. And you can see all of the activity that was going on around him with guys like Harrison Whitehead in the 84, Connor Thompson in the 16. Now Dylan Javier up to 11th in that 57 truck. But fortunately, that has settled down now. But for a moment there, it was a very frenetic situation for Gerald Campbell. He's come out of it in the 11th spot, still trying to work his way forward from qualifying a little further back than he would have hoped in 18th.
Yeah, I think we just end of that little gangle of trucks there as everyone 11th on back there in this particular scrap has begun to spread out. Dylan Javier leading that particular group there, followed by the driver who, as it stands, is third in points. Gerald Campbell there, two-time Cup Series champion, trying to claim a Truck Series title tonight. But just ahead of them, this is a fight for ninth place. Andrew Hardcastle and Richie Hearn there. Andrew Hardcastle out of the Abbott Motorsport stable, winner at Talladega in the Pit Pass Network ARCA Series earlier this season, currently runs P9. Richie Hearn of 4D Raceway just behind him. Hardcastle on the outside trying to hold position as Hearn applies pressure. I think Hardcastle has the advantage at this particular moment, gets clear again. That fight might be on pause for a little while, but in comes 11th and 12th. Javier and Campbell are closing in on this too.
And let's give a call to Richie Hearn in that 73 truck. Of course, noted real life experience for that driver, but not if the stock car variety. It's been a pretty big learning curve. I think it's fair to say for Mr. Hearn in that 73 truck this season and some of the other elite events he has partaken in, but showing some of that development tonight, currently running in the top 10.
Absolutely, Rich Hearn's made great progress. Obviously, we know him really as an IndyCar driver, and you see him in the Warriors for Peace IndyCar Series. He really does shine there. He's got some serious skill. behind the wheel of an open wheeler, but he's taken to these stock cars almost like a duck to water. He's really shown that he can drive almost anything and that he can be competitive at any level. Richie Hahn running solidly in the top 10 with some of the best truck drivers in the Elite Racing League in and around him. He's got a 2-time Cup Series champion just behind him in his rear view mirror. So Richie Hahn definitely doing well in his first campaigns in the Elite Racing League, running 10th, and he's not slow by any means. He's still putting the pressure on Andrew Hardcastle, trying to take P9 away. But further up, the current championship leaders, having another fight. Andrew Rucker looks for a move, but Jesse Rasimas holds firm for now.
Jesse Rasimas fourth on track, first out of the championship for Andrew Rucker, trying to find a way back around Rasimas here as we start lap 22 here at the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. Still, I mean, more than 90 laps to go in this championship battle, but especially if we get this long green flag run to continue, this track position could indeed be crucial as we move forward. Right now, Jesse Rasimas has it.
I think definitely the on-track battling for the most part in terms of side-by-side action is starting to die down. You're seeing everyone up at the front. You see these top 6, 7, 8, pretty much the entire field actually, as you see the entire field there in the background, and that shot has started to single file out, everyone finding their own rhythm as Gerald Campbell works his way into the top 10, squeaks past Richie Hahn there to get himself up into P10, still third out of the championship 4. Has got to make a few more positions before he comes across Jesse Rasimas and Andrew Rucker, who have been the two that have been fighting at the front in this particular championship fight early doors here. But Gerald Campbell making some good progress up the field. Next target for him, the 22 of Andrew Hardcastle.
And you want to talk about how close the margins are in a series like this, even in the truck series, which can be a developmental series of sorts here in Elite, but still the competition level. I mean, Gerald Campbell qualified 18th. He's already worked his way up to 10th. But even in the process of trying to pass these trucks, he's 3 seconds behind the other championship contenders. And you could see from that onboard earlier how much of a difference that makes, how far ahead those guys were. He's got a lot of ground to make up, even though it's only 5 or 6 spots, and now he'll try to get another one of them as he makes his way around the 22 of Andrew Hardcastle.
Yeah, I think Andrew Hardcastle, not wanting to have too much of an influence on the championship fight there, gives up that position without too much resistance. Up to 9th place now is Gerald Campbell, still about 3 seconds off the likes of Rasimas and Rucker, but he is up now P9. Next target for him, about 0.8 of a second up the road, is Cody McCorkle. Just a bit further back though, the last of the championship 4 contenders, Jeff Green, currently 4th in points as they run, has just worked his way around Connor Thompson to move Jeff Green up to P14. Ran into trouble on lap 1 trying to claw back some of that ground, as he now has Josh Frick and Dylan Levere next on his list.
You know, it's funny with Jeff Green, the former NASCAR Busch Series champion. He was the only one of our championship 4 to actually punch his ticket to tonight's battle with a win in the first round of the playoffs. We had Tate Lytle and Ethan Stanley, a couple of guys who did not run full-time in the series, pick up the other 2 wins in the last round. Jeff Green winning at North Wilkesboro Speedway to ensure his spot in this battle, while the other 3 competitors, Jesse Rasimas, Andrew Rucker, Gerald Campbell, pointed their way into the championship 4, ever just ahead of Chase Cabry, it must be noted. So Jeff Green, like I say, the winner at North Wilkesboro a couple of races ago, but right now trying to work his way back forward and catch up to the rest of these title contenders.
He definitely has a bit of an uphill battle ahead of him, does Jeff Green there in the number 38, obviously last out of the final 4. At the moment they're running P12, has just worked his way past Joshua Freed there in the 25, now has Richie Hahn firmly in his sights there, just looking to gain positions, as now Gerald Campbell there looking at the scoring pylon, now just a couple tenths off Cody McCorkle. Just speaks to the progress that Gerald Campbell is making. Just mentioned a couple laps ago, he's got about a second between him. He's closed that gap, has now caught Cody McCorkle and is looking to make the move and pretty easily Gerald Campbell is now up into P8. Next up on his list, Frank Fote, who is again just over a second up the road there in the number 41 Chevrolet, but you would have to think that now, as he begins to close that gap, Gerald Campbell just under 3 seconds behind Andrew Rucker. He's starting to close that gap to his fellow Final Four rivals. You have to start thinking that Gerald Campbell is really starting to show himself as a real competitor, especially at this point in the race.
And the other thing I'm sure these guys are starting to think about now that we've made it close to 30 laps on this green flag run is, okay, when are we going to pit if it does stay green? And there's always that trade-off, especially at a track like this where there is such a significant tire fall off. The earlier you pit, the quicker you get on those fresher tires, and you can make up gobs of time on that, what they call the undercut, while you're running on the fresher tires and your competition is on older tires. The drawback, of course, is then after they pit, you're on the older tires and they're slowly inching back into that gap, and eventually, possibly, now the margin has gone the other way. So there's always that strategy. It'll be very interesting to see how these Championship 4 approach it, because it can't just look at it like any other race. You can't just try to go with, oh, how do I get around the people around me? You've got to think about what the other 3 guys are doing and try to counteract that.
Yeah, definitely. I think these sorts of formats and the championship races that we have at the end of these seasons, they have such a difference in mentality in terms of A, championship races, as well as B, playoff races in general. You kind of become laser focused on your championship rivals. I'm sure Jesse Rasimas really doesn't give a monkey's what a Leighton Norgard is up to right now, even though that is a fight for position there, the final podium spot. He's more worried about Andrew Rucker in his rearview mirror and trying to keep him in his rearview mirror. So I'm sure that whatever strategy Jesse Rasimas goes for, it's going to be to try and keep Rucker, Campbell and Green behind him and less about anyone else around him. You know, you don't have to win the race to win the championship in this format. You just have to beat the other 3 drivers, and I think this Championship 4, as much as they, I'm sure, would love to win the race, they're more concerned about winning the race between just those 4.
Oh, for sure. And I think if there is something to be said about that Leighton Norgard Jesse Rasimas battle, the advantage if he were able to get around him would be to get into that little bit of pocket of slightly cleaner air and put a truck between him and Andrew Rucker. Now, of course, like we saw earlier with Andrew Hardcastle, I'm not sure if it got to that situation, if a Leighton Norgard would want to be the buffer very long. He might just gladly say, you know what, fist cool. But it's something I'm sure Jesse Rasimas is thinking about as well. Just, yes, the battle is with Andrew Rucker, but any obstacle he can put in the way is a good thing.
Oh, definitely. It's never going to hurt to have a truck between you and your rival, but I think Jesse Rasimas is being very calm and methodical at the minute as we now reach nearly a third of the way through this race. He doesn't look too eager to get in front of a Leighton Norgard. Obviously, it'd be a good thing to gain a position, but he doesn't want to burn up his tyres doing so when he's still facing pressure just a couple tenths behind him from Andrew Rucker. I'm sure Andrew Rucker is ready to pounce on any mistake or any misfortune that might befall either of these 2 drivers in front of him, Leighton Norgard or Jesse Rasimas. So I think Rasimas, just at the minute, as we ride on board now, just wants to be calm and methodical and essentially do the minimum to keep Andrew Rucker at bay for the time being.
Closing in on 40 laps complete here in the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series Championship race. Jay Connor stretching out his lead for the win to close to a 1.5 seconds over Joe Francis at this point. There you see the leader, Jay Connor, making his way down the backstretch in that number 9 truck. Of course, with it being the championship race, a lot of the focus on those 4 championship contenders you see in yellow on the scoring pylon if you are just joining us here on the Elite Racing Network. Joe Francis running 2nd, Leighton Norgard 3rd, and then the first of those 4 championship contenders, Jesse Rasimas in the 4th spot, Andrew Rucker in 5th. Andrew Rucker. Whoa, go back to Andrew Rucker. He was all kinds of out of shape there. I don't know. He's lost a ton of ground to Jesse Rasimas. I'm not sure what happened there with Andrew Rucker.
That was bizarre. I saw him going into the corner. He was way offline. I'm very interested to see. He's gone in.
I mean,
Way too tight, and he's gone flying up. That's bizarre. I wonder if... I don't know, this is just a theory, a dumb theory I'm putting out there. Does he have like a pet that came into his room?
Well,
his rig? I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of, but that's very... There definitely appeared to be a distraction of some kind there, whether it was a computer issue, whether it was... Hey, I have been wrecked before by other people's animals. That is not an exaggeration, where a cat jumps in somebody's lap, they lose control, they run into you in a straight line. That has happened to me. I don't know exactly what would have been the issue there, but clearly Andrew Rucker was not the same laser-focused Andrew Rucker we had seen for the first 40-some laps of this race in that moment, and it has cost him a ton of time.
Yeah, he's lost now 2 seconds to Jesse Rasimas there. The gap between those two. I'm sure that's going to be great for Jesse Rasimas, because that means he can now really take it easy and really prioritize the life of his tires on what looks to be a very long green flag run. But not only that, Andrew Rucker has now got a whole different fight on his hands, because if he looks in his rearview mirror, he's going to see his other championship rival, Gerald Campbell, bearing down on him at a rate of knots. I mean, the incremental gains, if we ignore lap 39 there, that's very much a statistical anomaly, and lap 40 as well. Gerald Campbell has been really chipping into that advantage that Rucker and Rasimas have had up to this point, and I'm sure Gerald Campbell is going to want to capitalise on this as best he can. We'll see the time intervals as they cross the line again, a tenth of a second in the favour of Gerald Campbell. He looks to be one of the fastest cars on track right now, does the 00.
Gerald Campbell does seem to have been one of the best as far as managing the tires over this run. Certainly the fall off still pretty significant for everybody. We're looking at just shy of 2 laps slower than what we were running when these tires were at their freshest at this point in the run. Definitely a significant fall off for these truck competitors, and it'll be interesting to see who jumps first, and B, how much of a difference it makes when it comes time for some green flag pit stops. But as it stands right now, Gerald Campbell continuing to just nibble away at that deficit to Andrew Rucker for 5th on track and 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell just starting to nibble away at it. I think the gap might just be starting to stagnate a little bit in and around 0.6 of a second between the 64 and the 00. Again, a tenth of a second loss for Gerald Campbell on this particular occasion as Rucker with the 31.729, a very quick lap when you consider his 3 previous is all in the higher 8s. So I do wonder if Andrew Rucker is starting to get a bit of that rhythm back, or has found a new gear in that number 64. We'll see again this time by these lap time intervals crucial at this point. Again, 31.6 for Andrew Rucker. Andrew Rucker all of a sudden 0.8 of a second between himself and Gerald Campbell. So he's looking very, very quick at this point in the proceedings. It's very much flipped on a dime. It's changed in just a couple of laps. All of a sudden, Andrew Rucker seems to be holding the advantage in that particular scrap. But even still, he's got a 1.5 seconds plus back, in front to his championship rival Jesse Rasimas. So even still, despite his evident pace at this point, Andrew Rucker is still 2nd in points as they run.
And if Andrew Rucker, as we look at those times, if he continues to find that little bit more speed, I have to wonder if Jesse Rasimas might have to turn up the wick a little bit on a Leighton Norgard. Or is that really all? I mean, maybe that's all he has. Maybe he has right now a 4th place truck and can't find a way around a Leighton Norgard. But if he is quicker, I'm not sure how much longer he can be content to just ride behind the Leighton Norgard here in 4th.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things that Jesse is going to start having to consider, because obviously, as much as like I say, at the moment he's not facing any large amount of pressure from Andrew Rucker behind him. He still has to consider things like turbulent air from the back of that 12 truck and the adverse effects that that's going to have on his front tyre, where you see might have been a little bit of understeer there from Jesse Rasimas, just relative to a Leighton Norgard. Looked like Jesse came off a little higher off the corner. But yeah, now just 1.3 seconds. Andrew Rucker is closing in on the entire field. He's not just closing the gap between himself and Jesse Rasimas. The gap between himself and Jay Connor, the leader, is shrinking exponentially. All of a sudden, Andrew Rucker is probably the fastest truck on the racetrack right now. 4.3, look again, 4.28. As again, the lap time intervals between Rasimas and Rucker, at least a tenth of a second, decreasing that gap. Every single lap we'll see again here as Rucker crosses the start-finish line. A small loss for Andrew Rucker that time by 1/100th. So things really changing on a time, and there seems to be a lot of, I suppose, volatility in which trucks are fastest at any given moment.
And one thing I was noticing those last few laps with Jesse Rasimas, he was having to move around that truck a little bit. And you'll probably be able to see it from Andrew Rucker's perspective here on this onboard. Watch and see, does Jesse Rasimas follow a Leighton down to the bottom, or does he try to stay about truck width up to try and stay in that clean air? Well, see, that time they kind of reversed, right? Leighton Norgard was a little bit off that yellow line, so Jesse tried to get right down to the yellow line, just trying to get as much air on that nose as possible, because from what I've heard with this update, for lack of a better term, air blocking is a little bit more significant on this truck than it had been before. And it was already pretty noticeable, because it goes without saying with these trucks and the larger greenhouses, they punch a pretty big hole in the air. So they can cause a lot of effects as far as the aerodynamics and the handling of these trucks at high speeds like we see at these larger ovals. If we take a look at Ty McIntosh coming down pit road, I believe he is our first taker on this pit cycle under green flag, so we'll see if others follow suit or not.
Yeah, I do believe so. I was thinking this, obviously, when I was closing in on the halfway point. I'm not sure exactly what the fuel economy is looking like on these trucks for this particular event, but I wouldn't imagine they would go longer than 60, 70 laps. It's just a rough ballpark. So when you're in that sort of situation, typically speaking, when you have a long green run like this, where essentially the entire race has gone green, we restarted lap 5, so essentially it's gone green all the way. Typically, you split the race in half, which in this case would be lap 57, would be your halfway point lap. So picking into lap 57 will cut the race in half. So we might see a lot of takers in and around that time. Maybe Ty McIntosh is going for a hyper-aggressive undercut. They're obviously pitting it into lap 52. And there's another taker, Raymond Hanneman, there in the 85 there. Will sacrifice his position there, pits to the end of lap 54. We'll see if there are any takers in a couple of laps further up the grid.
Yeah, I think based on what we've seen so far, you've probably got the right idea. Raymond Hanneman had to back up a little bit there, overshot his pit stall, costly loss of time there. We will see Frank Fody now drop down to pit road in the 41 truck out of the Lake Norman stables. Cody McCorkle joining him as well. Another thing we're going to have to keep an eye on here, for those Championship 4 especially, the one thing you absolutely cannot afford during a green flag pit stop, we talked about that miscue from Raymond Hammond there, that hurts a little bit. What hurts a lot is speeding entering pit road.
Yeah, that a speeding penalty, especially at this point in the race. We're halfway through. You see Richie Hearn now come down pit road as well from around the top 10. But like I say, especially for the final 4, a speeding penalty when you're halfway through a race that looks fairly clean and likely to go green for a long period of time, that could honestly kill your title hopes right then and there, because that could put you 1, maybe 2 laps down, depending on if you have to serve that penalty on a green flag condition, which I think you're obligated to do if you receive such a penalty. So that could certainly bury any title hopes that you might have. But speaking of title hopes, I think Andrew Rucker's title hopes have just started to rekindle a little bit, because granted, along with Gerald Campbell, have really closed in on Jesse Rasimas. You see again the constant, consistent gains there for Andrew Rucker, and now just 6.5 tenths of a second, 7 tenths of a second between those two. So you've now got the top 3 in the championship, just over a second between them, and Jeff Green waiting in the wings a couple seconds back from Gerald Campbell.
I think Jeff Green has the easiest decision of the 4 right now, and that's because of that 3-second gap. Whatever the other 3 do, don't do that. It's your best shot. If they pit like now, run the fuel tank dry, give yourself the freshest tires at the end, run them down at the end of the race. If they don't pit pretty soon, I think maybe you go ahead, you be the first taker, you get the undercut, try to erase this 3-second gap, and see what you can do with them then. I think it's getting close to decision time for Jeff Green to either force the other 3's hand or let them pit, whichever the case may be.
Yeah, that is another thing to consider, obviously, especially, again, the Final 4, obviously they're the focus of this race, but if one of them were to pit now, that would set off a massive chain reaction inside that Final 4. If Rasimas was to pit now, I have no doubt that within a lap or so, Rucker, Campbell and Green would all follow in tow. Similarly, if Green pits now with the position he's in, you know, Rasimas, Rucker and Campbell, they'd all want to preserve that advantage, would likely take the pit road the very next lap or within 2 laps. So it's, yeah, you're almost reacting to what everyone else does, and being proactive can almost be a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Looks like
he is coming down pit road. Yes, he is. So again, they
all are. They have all pitted except for Gerald Campbell.
Except for Gerald Campbell. So I do wonder if Jeff Green was trying to react to Rasimas and Rucker. So now,
well,
it's execution time for these guys. Don't slip your pit box.
I will say in the voice chat, Jeff Green called it out on the backstretch that he was got pit. So it could have even been the other way around where they heard him and reacted to him. Regardless, the net result is 3 of those 4 title contenders on pit road, and now Gerald Campbell on pit road as well. He comes in the very next lap, and there you see him making his way down pit road. So it's got to be about even Stevens as long as there were no mistakes from any of those championship contenders on pit road.
Yeah, there'll not be much difference in tyre age, only a lap, but obviously that lap could be crucial. Obviously that'll be in the favour of Gerald Campbell. The offset of that being that Gerald Campbell has been undercut ever so slightly, will likely lose ground to Rasimas and Rucker in front of him, potentially might lose a spot to Jeff Green behind him, but obviously that gap was fairly substantial, around 2.5-3 seconds, so not entirely sure where they'll cycle at. But Joe Francis now has inherited the lead himself and Connor Thompson, as well as Robert Hill Jr. and Kyle Hanshaw, the only drivers not to take to pit road thus far. But Joe Francis bites the bullet, the 35 down to pit road from the lead of the race. We'll see what the rest of the lead lap trucks do, as Thompson, Hill and Hanshaw will travel through your camera shot momentarily in the background. There goes Thompson. So we'll see if anyone responds to Joe Francis's call to pit. Connor Thompson does come to pit road. We'll see if Hill and Hanshaw respond.
And out of those championship 4 right now, Jesse Rasimas, the truck out front. There you see Robert Hill and Kyle Hanshaw will make their way to pit road. So it looks like it's going to cycle out where Ty McIntosh, where he was the first to pit, he was able to get that undercut and get out front. Now, how long is he going to be able to stay out front? I don't know. I think Jay Connor's got to close that gap in pretty reasonable fashion here over the next few laps. But then you see behind that, as the pylon starts to sort itself out, Jesse Rasimas, Andrew Rucker still out front in that championship battle.
Yeah, Jesse Rasimas and Andrew Rucker still the front 2 in that title fight. But again, this fight between Ty McIntosh and Jay Connor, obviously Ty McIntosh picked a lap 52, I think Jay Connor around lap 59.60. So McIntosh's tires will be significantly older, and you just see the effect that that's having. Jay Connor bearing down on him by nearly a second a lap, and that is probably going to open the door for a move into turn 3. Here comes Jay Connor. Ty McIntosh really won't be able to fight this too hard on the outside. Jay Connor now does re-inherit the lead here at Nashville with just 58 laps to go approximately in this race. So Jay Connor really been the class of the field tonight.
Jay Connor still out front. And I do want to make a note. It looks like Michael Goodman has a meatball flag, and I'm afraid that may have come while he was trying to enter pit road. And that's a tough break for Michael Goodman. Obviously was involved in the first caution of the evening as well in that 44 truck. And it looks like he may have had an incident while trying to make his way onto pit road for his green flag stop. We'll get a look at the Mark Reblos replay machine.
That thing's smoking.
That thing is indeed smoking. And that's probably why.
That would do it. That is not quite how you enter pit road at Nashville. It's a quite difficult pit entry. To be fair, he's just dropped it. I think overcooked the entry slightly, and the tyres gave out, and that's a hefty whack into the pit wall for Michael Goodman.
Of course, well off the racing surface. In a real-world race, that probably would have brought out a caution just out of, concern for the pit crew members and everything of that sort. But in the iRacing world, that's not going to bring out a caution pretty much ever, and it certainly didn't on this occasion. So we carry on, but Michael Goodman not going to be joining us for the festivities for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Michael Goodman. Tough break for that driver. Just trying to recover from an earlier incident is now probably going to be out of the race for a substantial amount of time potentially. For the rest of the races, night and season might be done here at Nashville. But focusing now on Jeff Green, who's obviously trying to claw back some ground. He's got about 4 seconds to make up to Gerald Campbell, 6 to Andrew Rucker, 8 to Jesse Rasimas. So Jesse Rasimas really in that pit cycle, the big beneficiary. Obviously himself and Andrew Rucker pitted at the same time, and Rasimas looks to have gained a significant amount of ground in the pit stops, whether that was by mistake from Andrew Rucker or just a very well executed pit stop from the 70 team. But regardless, Jesse Rasimas now in the hot seat now with no pit stops under green flag conditions scheduled for these drivers, and 1.7 seconds in the championship lead for Jesse Rasimas, just 43 laps to go.
And he'll make his way around Ty McIntosh, like we mentioned, the first driver to start these green flag pit stops. He's got the oldest tires. He gives way to Jesse Rasimas and falls back into the 3rd position. So Jesse Rasimas continuing to work his way forward and try to maintain this championship lead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this particular stint develops. Obviously, the first stint, obviously they had that close racing at the start. They had obviously the initial race start. They then had the lap 5 restart. Those 2, I guess, events would have worn out your tyres significantly more. But obviously, throughout the entirety of this stint, everyone's been very spread out. Obviously, such is the nature of a green flag pit cycle, and with the gaps that we're now seeing, particularly between the championship, 1.5 seconds between Rasimas and Rucker, 1.5 seconds between Rucker and Campbell, 4 seconds between Campbell and Green. I do wonder if those 4 particularly are just trying to take it easy and prioritize longevity in their tires at this point in the running, to try and be there in the title fight at the end of this race, rather than trying to put on a show still 40 laps from the checkered flag.
Indeed, 40 laps to go in the 2024 A Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series season. Jay Connor leading the way into championship finale. Jesse Rasimas up front out of our championship contenders. There you see a little further back, Andrew Rucker in 3rd. Leighton Norgard just made his way around Ty McIntosh to move into the 4th position. Kyle Hanshaw is now passing Ty McIntosh. That is not a lead lap truck. Kyle Hanshaw is in 22nd, 1 lap down. Gerald Campbell, however, is on the lead lap. He runs 6th. He'll be next to try and make his way around Ty McIntosh. Joe Francis in 7th. And then a pretty sizable gap before you get back to Jeff Green in 8th. He pretty much needs a caution at this point, I'm afraid, to get back into the championship fight. Josh Freed running in the 9th position. Frank Fody in 10th. But he's going to have a nice little fight on his hands right now, because Richie Hearn in 11th, Cody McCorkle in 12th. They're all nose to tail trying to work their way into the top 10.
Yeah, definitely an interesting scrap there for the final top 10 position, currently occupied by Frank Foti. So we'll see who comes out in that particular scrappers. Looks fairly calm for the minute, no one really taking any adventurous lines through any of the corners. Frank Foti, though, granted, is running a couple lanes higher, so we'll see what kind of effect that has on his tyre wear, if any, whether this truck update that we mentioned at the top of the show has allowed for a bit more multi-groove racing at these types of tracks. We know that Nashville Superspeedway can do it in the real world, as Richie Hearn and Frank Foti still fighting for 10th place, but Gap's looking to stabilise in that particular fight for the time being.
While we've got a chance, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll bring you back for the fight to the finish here in the championship race.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to www.traceway.com now, because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
You're watching the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series. Stay Tuned Sports Podcast was started in 2016 by two friends, even though hating each other's teams, with the purpose of producing a sports show like no other. They wanted to create a show that would cover all major sports with a little bit of comedy mixed in. Stay Tuned Sports releases weekly episodes covering NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, and even some college football. So if you're looking for some hot takes mixed in with some good ball busting, then this is the show for you. Stay Tuned Sports, your home for sports nonsense. Premier sponsors tonight, Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. So don't spin your wheels. Accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. And you saw the ad for Worldwide Technology Raceway. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri. It features a 1.25-mile NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and an NTT IndyCar Series. Has a 2-mile infield road course used by Trans Am, SCCA, and Porsche Club of America, a quarter-mile NHRA drag strip that hosts the Midwest Nationals event, and the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. Those are our sponsors for tonight, gentlemen.
All right, thank you to all of our sponsors here on the Elite Racing Network. As we get ready for the final 30 laps or so of this championship race, we look now at the battle for third. Andrew Rucker in third, Leighton Norgard in fourth, Gerald Campbell in fifth, trying to close in and make his presence felt in this championship battle. He has to really slide it in there in front of that lap truck of Kyle Hanshaw. And now Joe Francis is also going to pull alongside Hanshaw and get in front of that 46 truck.
Intensity definitely building now.
Oh yeah, this has been a little bit dicey here over these last few laps, and you can see it's starting to ramp up. But Leighton Norgard, it's pretty clear by the body language of that truck, he wants to get around the 64. Obviously, the 64 has a lot of incentive to keep a Leighton Norgard behind him, but at some point, I'm afraid somebody's going to have to make a move here.
It definitely looks, again, from the body language of that truck, as Andrew Rucker does get in the wall. I wonder if he's feeling the heat there from the 12 of Leighton Norgard, but I think Leighton Norgard's got a little bit stacked up by that mistake from Andrew Rucker, as the 00 now looks to the inside of the 12. Gerald Campbell trying to make some progress, but gets cleared by Leighton. We'll see if Norgard makes a move. He does. Pulls out of the slipstream of the 64. This now your fight for P3 on the racetrack. Current championship runner-up Andrew Rucker has got Leighton Norgard on his inside. It's a proper scrap for third. We'll see Gerald Campbell trying to enter the fray. Takes to the apron. We're three abreast at Nashville. Big power move there from Gerald Campbell, trying to get up to third place. There might be contact. Slide job from Campbell in front of Leighton Norgard, but Andrew Rucker going to squeak past the pair of them. The Leighton Norgard is going to be the big loser of that one, because he's lost a spot to Campbell and is now facing pressure from Joe Francis behind them.
You know, I was just about to say, is there a point in the battle where it makes sense for Rucker to just let Norgard go if he's faster right now and try to see if they can work together to get back up to the 70 of Rasimas? Now they're in an all-out battle for this third spot, and Jesse Rasimas is just got to be able to just pull away from this as they continue the fight.
Yeah, as also if they continue to fight, naturally they're losing time fighting each other. To see on the scoring pylon there the last handful of laps, Jesse Rasimas gained nearly half a second over Andrew Rucker, but as well as that, they're going to be wearing their tyres, driving more aggressively on the outside of the track and going deeper into the corner, trying to get their foot down early on what is a very abrasive surface here at Nashville. Obviously, a very rare instance of a concrete oval, as again Campbell and Rucker side by side for third on the track, second in the championship. And obviously, if Campbell is the faster truck and can clear the 64, he has absolute clear road ahead of him to try and run down the 70 truck of Jesse Rasimas. But Andrew Rucker, not giving up, refuses to give in, and Leighton Norgard and Joe Francis still a part of this scrap in their own right down in P5 and 6, as still Rucker and Campbell right on each other's doors. We'll see if anyone tries to pull a 3-wide bonsai move, or is Norgard, I think, pushing the 64 towards the front of that particular scrap. The 00 sends it in deep, trying to get the move done, but still they run side by side. 25 laps to go now. Rucker and Campbell still going hammer and tongs at it for P3.
25 laps to go. These trucks side by side, third on track, second in the championship battle. Gerald Campbell noses ahead. Can he get... No! It's a wreck! Oh my goodness.
Oh my word.
And just
that might be day
like
done for the pair of them.
huge,
Definitely day done for Gerald Campbell.
massive
Oh my word. That was
implications.
huge.
Gerald Campbell does have a meatball. We'll take a look at the replay here. Obviously, very intense battle for this championship spot.
It's a bit of net code, but
A little bit of net code.
up.
A little bit of net code. Campbell was clearly trying to slide up in front of the 64 of Andrew Rucker. All I can think about right now, William, to finish first,
First, you have to finish.
neither of those guys, well, certainly not Gerald Campbell. Rucker may have gotten out of this relatively unscathed, but Gerald Campbell most certainly will not finish first tonight.
No, still, there's major damage, I reckon, to the 64, but the 00 of Gerald Campbell has just had his front end completely ripped off, severed from that machine, as everyone now takes to pit road in what will be I won't say a late race restart. There'll be about 20 to go when they hit the line, but definitely a shorter run than what we've seen earlier on in this race, as everyone takes to pit road for what will presumably be 4 tyres and Sunoco fuel. So we'll see who wins the race out of the pit lane. Obviously, Jay Connor does have the advantage of that first pit stall, having got pole position. Here comes Jesse Rasimas. I think he's won the race off pit road. He has. Jay Connor second, Norgard third, Francis fourth, Jeff Green fifth off of pit road. McIntosh, Freed, Richie Hearn will come out 8th. So that is big. As you see there, no tallies assessed as a result of net code. The 64 trying to hold Gerald Campbell tight to the yellow line. But Rasimas not only in the lead of the championship, now in the lead of the race as he wins the race off the pit lane.
Before we go back green, let's take one more commercial break before we fight to the finish here at Nashville.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to WWTRaceway.com now, because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to our coverage of the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series finale here at the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. Jesse Rasimas leads the way. One of our 4 championship contenders. There you see a Leighton Norgard lining up 3rd. Jeff Green lining up 5th. He's the other championship contender not involved in our most recent caution. Obviously, Gerald Campbell, Andrew Rucker, the 2 drivers involved in that. Gerald Campbell still on pit road getting repairs. Andrew Rucker will be restarting 18th here. He is still on track. He is still on the lead lap, but huge blow to his championship hopes with that incident. As we continue to look through the field, there you see the 64 truck of Andrew Rucker. Still some damage on that machine, and there is Gerald Campbell still sitting on pit road as we'll be getting ready for the restart here with what will be 20 laps to go when they come to the green flag.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell's night there as we look at his pit stall. It looks to be all but done. The front end completely severed off of the 00, but now 20 laps to go when they come to the stripe. Jesse Rasimas, current championship leader, will lead them to the Geico restart zone. 20 laps to go under the lights, 11 on Tennessee. The 70 gets off to a decent restart. Jay Connor, long-time race leader and pole sitter. That was the second. Leighton Norgard trying to pressure the 9. See if he can make up some spots on this restart, but looks like Jay Connor will hold on to second place. They're scrapping big time behind them. Joe Francis runs into some trouble. They're still side by side. The second Joe Francis continues to tumble down the order. Jesse Rasimas, though, continues to lead. Jeff Green, though, right back in it after encountering troubles early on. He's now back in the fight. He's fighting Josh Freed for P5, but he's currently P2 in the title fight. If he can get clear of Josh Freed, he might be able to work his way.
Oh, we've got a truck in the wall. That's Frank Fody in the wall. Frank Fody.
Kyle Hanshaw, I think, is involved.
I believe you are right. I believe that was Kyle Hanshaw. We briefly saw on screen. We'll get a look here on the Rebelus replay machine to see exactly how this unfolded. Oh. Yep. So
that code. Contact on the straight, I believe. Just an internet code. Hard to gauge whether or not that contact would have happened anyway between Thompson and Hanshaw. Nowhere to go.
So right here, Fody's probably expecting a little more room from Connor Thompson. Yeah. Probably expected Connor Thompson to track more towards the wall there than he did. Regardless. And then there you see Andrew Rucker, all kinds of outship, and then does actually just barely. I don't know if he saved that or not. He does not. He goes around, and then Robert Hill's going to add an extra dent to the driver's side door of that 64 truck as well.
Andrew Rucker can't catch a break in these last dying laps of this race in this season.
And now we'll look at Kyle Hanshaw's perspective. I see he does have a meatball flag, and no surprise after the impact he took. I'm afraid what we're going to see here, it's hard to tell from that angle if Frank Fody was holding the brakes or not. Either way, the truck slides down the hill. Hanshaw couldn't quite get away from it fast enough.
It looks like the wheels are spinning on that 41, but that's not
Yeah.
always a telltale sign. You could have had those brakes held. I don't think that's something we'd know for definite unless we saw telemetry.
Yeah. So, tally assigned to the 41 here.
I think another thing with this truck update that was kind of swept under the rug was that apparently there were blowover physics added. I don't know if that was just me. I think I did see the 41.
There were definitely
just a little bit.
There were definitely some videos that made the rounds on social media of incidents at Daytona and Talladega and tracks like that.
I don't know if Frank got just a little bit of air. Looks like he might have just got a little bit off the ground, a little jump. So I think we might see another replay. I don't know if it'll be super telling from... Oh, there you go. This might be a good angle. I'm just curious now to see if the 41 caught any air. Right, might have got a little bit light. I think it did. I think the left side just before it hit the wall.
I don't know how much of that was the impact with the wall.
I think just before he hit the wall, I think he got a little bit light. That's cool though. Have blowover physics on a couple more cars.
Either way, it's not going to blow over anywhere sitting on pit road.
That is true. It's doing a lot of nothing on pit road. And Frank Photos Night might be done because that was a fairly hefty whack. Or a couple of fairly hefty whacks for the number 41 there. It was having a pretty decent run up to this point. Unfortunate that it ends like that for Frank Photos as he sits on pit road. And I think I just saw on the scoring panel as well, Gerald Campbell's also sitting in pit road there. Oh yes, he was involved in the incident. Sorry, I got him confused with Andrew Rucker.
Yeah,
Andrew Rucker's still on the lead lap. Yeah.
Yes.
So he's going to be sitting there a while. Gerald Campbell is very destroyed. Andrew Rucker, they're still on the lead lap though, despite some extra damage on the 64. He's not giving up, which you have to admire.
Well, I mean, you have to go back. I can't remember the exact year. I guess it would have been 2020B in the Cup Series. I'd have to go back and do the homework, but Gerald Campbell, oddly enough, was on the opposite end of that spectrum. He was running about 97th on the last lap at Phoenix, and then two championship contenders run into each other on the last lap, and he lips his pile of crap across the finish line ahead of the other piles of crap and wins the title. So, you know, they're absolutely, Andrew Rucker's got to stay out here and stay on the lead lap and keep fighting, and who knows, maybe these leaders mix it up and he's able to squeak out of here with a championship. Until the checkered flag falls, you never know exactly how this is going to unfold.
That is very true. There'll be 14 laps when they come to the strap where anything can go wrong for anyone. So, like I said, until you cross that line, you can't count your eggs before they hatch. So, Jesse Rasimas, obviously current race leader and championship leader, will have to remain wary of that, as will Jeff Green, currently running P5. But pace car again pulling off. There'll be 14 laps to go when we end this third caution process. Coming to the restart zone now. Rasimas will have control of the restart. There we go. He punches it. A very decent start there from Jay Connor, right with the 70. Might still just about be side by side there for the race lead. Rasimas, though, does take first place as Norgard and McIntosh fight for P3 and 4 behind them. But very staggered behind them there. Jeff Green, though, does clear for P5.
Jeff Green clear for P5. He's got chased down these front four, but he's got clean air while they fight in front of him. Jay Connor to the inside of Jesse Rasimas. We've got a battle for the race lead. Rasimas get the run off the corner on the outside. He does. He's going to stay out front for now.
Jesse Rasimas managing to get clear of Jacob Connor. That is crucial for Jesse, obviously, just to... I don't think tyre wear is going to be a big thing. Obviously, it is a factor, but with a shorter run now, just 13 laps, it is likely to be a bit less of a factor. I think just it's more time loss from running side by side with other cars. So I think getting clear is really crucial for Jesse. 12 laps to go. seeing one or two trucks hit the outside wall off of turn 4. Jay Connor, though, still applying the pressure. We know how quick he is, as he has been tonight. Took the pole, led pretty much this entire race up until that caution that had Jesse Rasimas win the race off pit road, putting Jay Connor back in second. But Jesse Rasimas still looking comfortable out in front.
Indeed, Jesse Rasimas has a little bit of cushion at the moment over Jay Connor, Ty McIntosh, Leighton Norgard, and Jeff Green, the closest title contender. 11 laps to go as it stands right now in the 2024 Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series season. Jesse Rasimas in the driver's seat. He's got that 0.2 of a second lead over Jay Connor, nearly a second, and more importantly, 3 trucks between him and Jeff Green. As now Leighton Norgard and Ty McIntosh almost come together there off turn 4. They're going to be side by side down the front stretch. Jeff Green's got to find a way to get around these 2 trucks somehow.
Yeah, big send from Leighton Norgard has kicked off this particular tussle up in the top 3, and Leighton Norgard's done really well to hang on to the outside line there. Move Leighton Norgard up into the podium positions, and obviously that fight might have slowed down Jeff Green just a little bit there, as obviously Norgard and McIntosh will have been slowing each other down, jockeying for position. As you see, the gap between Rasimas and Green just growing ever so slightly. Now it's around about a second, and Jeff Green's hit somewhat of a barrier almost. He can't quite find a way to get the run off the corner to get past Ty McIntosh, get past the Leighton Norgard, start working on Jay Connor, and start working on Jesse Rasimas. But now Jeff Green might just be trying to find another gear here. He's got very limited time to make progress up the field, as now he looks for P4 on the inside of Ty McIntosh.
Jeff Green side by side, 4th place on track with the 75 of Ty McIntosh. 8 laps to go here in the championship race. Jeff Green right now has about a half truck advantage, but he isn't able to clear Ty McIntosh yet. McIntosh has got to have the momentum from the outside out of turn 2. Meanwhile, up front, Jay Connor is battling for the lead with Jesse Rasimas.
Jay Connor is evidently showing his electric pace that he's had all race long. Now trying to retake the lead he held for so long, and he has taken it. Jesse Rasimas down to second place, and I just do wonder if Rasimas is really all that bothered by that. I think he sees Jeff Green just behind really making some good progress, and I think Jesse Rasimas just wants to back off and make sure that he's not losing any time fighting Jay Connor at the minute. As still Rasimas right on the back of Jay Connor, but not looking overly eager to make any moves. But just behind them, Leighton Norgard really closing in on that particular fight for second place. So that will be another driver to watch late on in the proceedings here at Nashville. See if Leighton Norgard could steal it late on in the show, as there will be just 5 laps to go when they get to the stripe. Norgard might have thought about a move going into turn 3, thought better of it, but looks really good off the corner.
Meanwhile, Jeff Green able to get around Ty McIntosh. Josh Freed also able to do so. So now Josh Freed into the top 5. Jeff Green trying to reel in this top 3. He's making up a little bit of ground, but time is running out. 5 laps to go here at Nashville. Now we look at Leighton Norgard with the run off turn 2. A Leighton Norgard to the inside of Jesse Rasimas as they go into turn 3. This is going to put those title contenders nose to tail unless Rasimas can find a way to get back around to Leighton Norgard.
I think Jesse Rasimas is going to fight this one. Oh, a door bang! Whoa, Leighton Norgard, Jesse Rasimas door banging down the front straight. Jesse Rasimas might just get clear of Leighton Norgard this time, but now Jeff Green is right there, just a couple tenths separating these 2 championship contenders. Here comes Jeff Green to the inside of Leighton Norgard. Leighton Norgard just backs out of it and now tries to get it back off the corner. Leighton Norgard slow in, fast out, tries to get it off the corner, trying to clear Jeff Green. He has not given up his position at all. He knows he can fight for a podium, potentially for a win. But now just 3 laps to go. Jesse Rasimas and Jeff Green just a couple tenths apart.
And Leighton Norgard really washed up the hill that time. Jeff Green's got the momentum. I have to imagine he's got really thrown into 3 here and clear a Leighton Norgard, and it's going to be a one-on-one fight. You've got about 0.3 of a second, but Jeff Green has the championship directly in front of him.
2.5 tenths now, 2 laps to go. We'll see if Jeff Green can catch up to Jesse Rasimas. We know they've both been pretty quick all night long. Jesse Rasimas just a fraction faster on that lap, but obviously Jeff Green was fighting a Leighton Norgard. Now just 0.2 of a second, the gap shrinking all the time. Jeff Green was in the trenches at the beginning of this race, having been involved in an incident early on, Zach, but now he is right there in the fight with just 1 lap to go.
It is the final lap of the season. Jay Connor leads the way in the race, but the championship battle is second place on the track. Jesse Rasimas in the 70, Jeff Green in the 38. Right now, Rasimas has the upper hand. Jeff Green has been closing and closing and closing. Still about truck length difference down the backstretch. Jeff Green sends it into turn 3. He's not going to be able to get there through the corner. Can he get a run off the corner? No. Jay Connor's going to win the race. Jesse Rasimas is your 2024A Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series champion here at Nashville.
And well deserved that is for Jesse Rasimas. Didn't need to win the race, didn't need to win the battle, but he has certainly won the war. A deserved victory for Jay Connor. Dominant all evening, but there is the man of the hour, Jesse Rasimas. Jeff Green coming ever so close to a maiden championship in the Elite Racing League, but he will have to continue to fight for that honor. Jesse Rasimas, though, he'll be celebrating in Music City tonight.
And there you see Jaden Rasimas celebrating the family get-together on the front stretch. I'm sure that's got to be quite the celebration once they step away from the sim rigs as well. There you see Robert Hill with the love tap for Jesse Rasimas as well. And now the celebratory donuts in turn 1 here at Nashville Super Speedway for this season's Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series champion, Jesse Rasimas in the number 70.
I think we might be seeing a Polish victory lap or a front stretch burnout from Jesse Rasimas, putting on a show after taking the crown here in Nashville. I think he's going to take it to the start finish and do some more donuts.
Hey, he doesn't need that truck for a few more months. Go ahead and blow it up.
Yeah.
Tear up some grass. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure the groundspeople at Virtual Nashville are going to love Jesse for this.
Look, I know how hard it is just to win a race here. So, I'm not going to stop anybody from celebrating a championship.
Oh, definitely not.
While we wait for some interviews, we'll take a look here shortly at the results from tonight's championship race here at the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. There you go, Jay Connor, the winner. Jesse Rasimas in second. Jeff Green in third. There you see the difference, just barely more than 1/10 of a second between those two title contenders at the end of the race here at Nashville. Leighton Norgard fourth. Josh Freed fifth. Ty McIntosh sixth. Richie Hearn 7th, Andrew Hardcastle 8th, Dylan Javier 9th, Joe Francis rounding out the top 10, Jaden Rasimas 11th, Andrew Rucker 12th, Cody McCorkle 13th, Robert Hill 14th, Michael Hossack 15th, Raymond Hanneman 16th, Connor Thompson 17th, Mitch Javier in 18th, Frank Fody coming home 19th, Kyle Hanshaw 20th, Gerald Campbell 21st, Harrison Whitehead 22nd, Michael Goodman 23rd, Chase Cabry, Josh Personette, I don't believe turned 11 at any point this evening, but showing on the running order for the evening. On that note, Dave, I guess it's about interview time.
All right. We'll bring Jeff in.
All right. So first we will speak with our third place finisher tonight. And this is about as tough as a third place finish comes, coming oh so close to that championship. Jeff Green, the recovery from the first lap incident to even be in the conversation here at the end of the race definitely incredible, but ultimately just one spot short. How do you process everything that happened tonight?
Well, I killed my night when hit the fence qualifying, so that put me in the back. And with so few cautions, I wasn't not able to make up track position. I got positions, but I couldn't. They were too far ahead of me. But I mean, it was good. A couple of those cars, that was in the top five the last 3 or 4 laps, they run me to death trying to get around them, and that saved Jesse a little bit, a few more laps. I got to him, but that's the last thing I was going to do is to get into him to win a championship or a race. So he ran good enough to be where he was. So I'm proud for him. Glad for that he won a championship. I'm thinking that's his first. So um, he don't get to run trucks next year, I think, if that's the rule. But I'll try it again next year. So it was a good night for us. It's always fun to race. That's probably not my favorite racetrack. The concrete tracks, Dover's pretty good for me, but Nashville's never been really my favorite, but it is what it is. We had to race it, so everybody had to race it, and everybody raced clean. It was a great night for us, a great night for elite racing, I think, for the truck series. So hopefully we put on a good show for y'all.
Oh, it was definitely a great show. Talking about next season, you mentioned, of course, Jesse now won't be able to fight for that championship. You certainly can. And tonight, I guess, was our first look at what iRacing has done with these trucks in the latest update. What was kind of, I guess, your feedback or reaction, what you felt from the truck first time out tonight?
Well, I practiced this past week before the update, and then I practiced after the update, and it was about a half a second slower. Just made the truck a lot tighter. I don't know what they did to do that, but I think that's what about everybody thought was wearing out the right front tonight, and I did. Um, it seemed like if you tried to run slower, it really didn't take care of it. So you just had to throw the truck around to make it turn. A lot of rear brake. But anyway, I don't, I really can't. You have to have somebody smarter than me to tell you if it made any difference. But I know it did slow it down on the same track conditions. So, and it was tighter. So that was the big thing for me. And it was plenty tight already. And whatever they did, I don't know if they changed the tire model or I'm not sure what they did, but they really hurt the setup of it. But still, I mean, it was we knew that going in. You had to control the right front a little bit, and whoever could turn and get up off the corner was going to win the race. And unfortunately, I had to use too much up coming up through there. But anyways, and it was a good night, awesome night to be racing, and just enjoyed every minute of it. Second's not too bad. Would be better, but second's not too bad.
Before we let you go, Jeff, who do you have to thank for this night and this season?
Always Doc Turner out of Arkansas, Turner Eye Clinic, and I don't think I've thanked Chad for what he does for our series. We all give him heck, and we all give him a lot of crap over some of the things that happens, but we all don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So thank him for putting on a great series. I mean, every series that he has is very competitive, and if you beat these guys in any series, you've done really good, and you're pretty darn good to do it. So thank you all for broadcasting and covering all of our races, and just appreciate all that y'all do too.
All right, there you have it. Congratulations, Jeff. I know it wasn't the ultimate goal for the night, but obviously a great run and hopefully better things in the future for you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, and also thank the competitors for how they race each other and how they race me. I mean, I've been in different leagues that they don't do that, so I thank them for racing clean as they can, and kind of I like to get raced. I like to race like I get raced, and everybody's pretty darn clean in these series. So and in the elite racing league, so I'm proud for them. Thank y'all.
There you have it. That's Jeff Green, third place finisher.
So, would you like the race winner or the series winner?
You know what? Probably the race winner.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna shuffle it up a little bit here and go with our race winner of the night, Jay. Man, I think it's safe to say from the front, the start of the race, you had the truck to beat. Obviously, that caution and the pit cycle shuffled it up a little bit, but you were able to get back out front. What did you have figured out to pick up this win this evening?
Honestly, I have no idea. I wasn't even gonna run this one tonight. But I figured halfway through practice I would jump in and try it, and I don't know. I talking to Jesse back and forth, and he was saying about how he figured out a longer run deal with the tires and stuff. And right from the start, I just kind of was backing up the corners and trying to take care of the right front, and it just dumb luck happened to work out that way. That is definitely surprising.
Speaking to Jesse, and of course that championship battle, for the most part it wasn't a huge factor for you. You were able, especially in that first half, to get out front, stay out front, keep a nice little cushion. But especially on that late restart, how hard was it to balance between, obviously you have every right to the win as everybody else out here tonight, and fighting for that win and ending the season on that note, while also knowing there is that championship battle going on?
Yeah, I mean, I was very aware of it. Jesse's a great guy. We're friends in real life. He helps us out with our regular race cars and stuff. And I wasn't gonna fight him for anything if he had the speed. He had a little bit of right front damage there that he was aware of after that first pit stop, and he just you could tell at the end of the straightaways that it was struggling a bit and it was a little tight for him. So I tried to not fight him at all. I was more than happy to ride second place to him there, coming to the end, but a couple times he said he was scrubbing a lot of speed coming off the corners, and all I was cared about was making a clean, quick pass on him, that we didn't tie each other up side by side, and just got single file. He made me sweat there coming down to the end. I was watching him in the mirror and then watching the interval, and saw Jeff catching him, and uh, going into 3, I was basically congratulating him, and then I saw Jeff poking his nose out coming down the front, and it was pretty cool. It turned out that way. So that was a good time.
Before we let you go, Jay, who do you have to thank on this win this evening?
As y'all know, no sponsors or anything, just the friends and family that watch every week with us here. And I don't know that anybody knew we were even running tonight, so I don't know if anybody else watched it. But thank you guys for putting on a good broadcast all the time, and Chad and Elite for putting on the series, and see what we could do tomorrow night in the Xfinity cars. Just congratulations to Jesse. Like I said, he deserves it. He spends a lot of time on these things, and always has some bad luck following him and stuff. So it's cool to see him put together a good season and grab the championship.
All right, congratulations, Jay, and like you say, we'll see you here on the Elite Racing Network tomorrow night at Chicagoland with the Grand National Series.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
So now we will go to our 2024A Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series champion, Jesse Rasimas. Jesse, how's that sound?
Well, it sounds pretty good if you ask me.
Man, definitely an exciting evening. Tough racing all night long. Over those closing laps, you saw Jeff Green closing in the mirror. What was going through your head over those final laps?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, Leighton got a nice run under me and kind of tied me up for like a lap and a half, something like that. Um, but I didn't even know, but I had right front damage after the first pit stop, and I had no idea about it until I went in to take tires on the first pit, and yeah, it was just super pushy coming out of the corners, and the truck was already tied enough the way it was to begin with, so. Um, I think fighting a late in for that lap and a half kind of hurt me a little more than I thought it did. And when I seen Jeff coming, it was just like, oh man, here we go. It's gonna come down to a last lap shootout. But I mean, I think he had some trouble getting around Ty McIntosh as well. So I think they were fighting a little while, and we kind of equaled out, but he was still faster. So it's just the way the luck drew.
Ultimately, I mean, we've seen the development these last couple of seasons, Jesse, and even with Jaden as well. We saw the celebratory love tap from him on the cool down lap as
Yeah.
well. I mean, how cool is it to be able to watch that development take place and ultimately culminate with the championship tonight?
Yeah, I mean it's awesome trying to coach Jaden and give him pointers here and there. I mean, there's been a couple of races where he's actually outperformed me, and it wasn't due to bad luck or anything. It was just he had a better tire conservation than I did. So, I mean, it's definitely awesome to see. And I mean, just graduated high school. He's going to be starting his college career, so his time might be a little more limited. But yeah, I mean, hopefully he keeps going with it, and maybe he can grab himself a championship next season.
Before we let you go, Jesse, who do you have to thank for this championship run?
Pretty much just all the friends and family I watch. Jaden, it kind of surprising, but he actually does give some good pointers every now and then. So, um, it, but yeah, I mean, Jaden for sure. Definitely friends and family. Jay, Connor, with Brandon Ultra. I mean, those guys, been friends with them for quite a while, and just from hearing them conversate about their race car journeys on the track and the push in, the tight, the loose, and what adjustments they're making and how they're backing up corners. I mean, that all kind of plays into it. So tire conservation is a big thing in these series. If you can't save your tires, you're not going to be able to move forward. So everybody here at Elite, Chad, he puts on a great league. Everybody at Elite Broadcasting, you guys do an awesome job. I love watching these things after I'm done with every race.
All right. Well, congratulations on joining the list of elite champions, Jesse. And I guess we won't see you running for the title anymore here in the Truck Series, but I'm sure more great things ahead for you here in Elite. So congratulations and good luck the rest of the season in the other series and moving forward.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you, guys.
So that is your champion, Jesse Rasimas. William, that brings us to the end of the road for the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series in the 2024 season. I know you joined me in the booth kind of midway through the season. First off, thank you. I think it's been a lot. If nothing else, it's been a lot more fun for me to have you in the booth, and I think you've brought a lot to these broadcasts. Just incredible analysis and everything you've been able to add as far as that goes. I can't imagine doing it with anybody else this season. What is kind of your takeaway as we wrap up this season and what you've seen since joining us here in the insanity of the broadcast booth?
Well, firstly, thank you for the kind words. That does mean a lot as someone who's only been doing commentary for about 5 months or so. Um, yeah. Well, funnily enough, I ran the first two races of this series, having elected to run all three NASCAR series in Elite, but I decided to cut down on that, mainly for school, but also just because I wasn't sleeping. Being in England, races don't end until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I decided to jump up here with you guys, and yeah, no, it's been awesome this entire season. Also, I joined you guys at Sebring. Sebring was an awesome race to have as a truck series commentary debut. But all these races have been a blast to be a part of. So yeah, no, it's been really cool to watch from above as the carnage unfolds on the racetrack, and we've crowned a very deserving champion in Jesse Rasimas, but honestly, if any of those four took it, they would have deserved it. All four of them put on a brilliant show. They never gave up until the very last lap. So, yeah, no, it was awesome to see.
Indeed, quite the championship battle we were treated to. It's a lot easier when the racing's fun to call the action. We definitely had no shortage of exciting racing all season long. And if you're watching here on the Elite Racing Network, it's not over yet. The Truck Series is done, but we have the championship finale tomorrow night for the Rebel House Photography Grand National Series at Chicagoland Speedway. Be sure to tune into that at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, Wednesday night, we have the grand finale, the Belly Up Sports Cup Series finale at Kansas Speedway. That is Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll also have a little bit something new Tuesday night, the Elite SRX Series, which will also be broadcast here on the Elite Racing Network. It kicks off Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. That series open to drivers who have won a championship or won a race here in the Elite Racing Leagues. So I'm going to be running in that. I'll be probably running dead last in it, but technically I have won an Elite race. You'll never be able to take that away from me. So I look forward to taking part in that series against much more talented iRacers. And I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun with those SRX cars. They are a blast to drive on the sim. That'll give us a little bit of off-season entertainment before we roll into the 2024B season here on the Elite Racing Network. On that note, I think we've talked about enough. Congratulations again to Jay Connor on his win tonight here at Nashville. Congrats to Jesse Rasimas on winning the 2024A Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series Championship. For everyone who has tuned in all season long, on behalf of Dave Huckleberry, producing all of these wonderful broadcasts you've seen this season, as well as William White, my partner in crime, my tag team partner here in the booth, I'm Zach Evans. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support all season long, and we will see you next time.